Tuncay Taymaz. He's a professor of geophysics and seismology at Istanbul Technical University. Good to have you on the program with us. We're well over 24 hours now since that earthquake struck. How do you think the emergency response is going?
Well, good evening. In fact, as a local and central Turkish government, we have experienced quite widely in recent years for the search and rescue teams and first aid and emergency management. So we are quite experienced in above even the world standards. But this is not the management of disaster management issues. So we are just tackling search and rescue, first aid, and logistics. And this is not the way emergency or the disaster management should be. So there are still some parts missing, and we have lessons to learn.
Certainly. One day later, what are some of the risks in this search and rescue operation?
Well, we still have continuous aftershocks, maybe another week or two up to a month. This is a big earthquake, 6.9, perhaps magnitude 7 on Richter scale. So this is a huge fault along the Samos fault on the Ikaria Basin, on the Samos Island, ruptured, about 50-kilometer long fault at a depth of 5 to 10 kilometer for a length of 50 kilometer, and maybe a displacement up to 4.5 meter. So we know that there are at least 50 to 60 centimeter of tsunami waves triggered, and these are still dangerous, but the disaster management issues and search and rescue and the human life are still at stake.
In this earthquake, we saw some 17 buildings seriously damaged or to have collapsed. And as we know, many people are trapped under the rubble. What's Turkey's earthquake regulation like? And could there be risk of further buildings collapsing if we see other large aftershocks?
Yes, indeed. Certainly, there are many buildings we see on TV coverage. They are standing, but they are seriously damaged, or some, certain the elastic seismological waves affected those. They are not 100% earthquake safe. So we know that. Okay, our codes or seismic codes are, as far as the engineering seismology is concerned, is right on the paper, but on the field, as the layman on the street, when you buy a new housing units and you don't know how good or badly it's built, and you don't have such good piece of information about those. And so we witness from the TV coverage that so-called in the engineering, civil engineering point of view, so-called soft floor or soft layer, or in fact it's like putting a bomb in the huge apartment flats. And because for the comfort of the society in our societal life, some people get rid of those standing walls. They are not necessarily static or dynamic walls or piercings in the building constructions. And we see that some human mistakes has been seriously done as far as the seismic codes are concerned. But the danger still is on the nearby faults, on Samos Fault, on the Kuşadası Bay, Doğan Bay, Seferihisar, Sığacık, Çeşme, Urla, Izmir, Bornova. They are 50, 60 kilometers away from the earthquake source, but still these small pieces of faults are capable of producing earthquakes up to magnitude 6 and 7. Recently, for instance, along the Samos Island, in 1996 we had a magnitude 5.3 earthquakes. In 1992 we had 6 magnitude earthquakes, and followed series of earthquakes in 2005, ranging from 5.4, 5.7, 5.8. So we are quite sure about the locations of those faults within the sea, in front of the Samos Island. In fact, this was an easy escape for the humankind nearby the Izmir Peninsula, because Ikaria Basin fault is a huge fault. It's not all of them is ruptured in this earthquake. So we were expecting about magnitude 7 earthquakes. We know there were on-land signatures and offshore extensions from this macro or reflection seismological units or studies, but the focal depths are much deeper on the crust. So we need to have at least 10 to 15 kilometer focal depth penetration of those active faults mapped. So there's a serious marine seismological and earthquake marine ocean bottom seismology stuff, or kind of state-of-art instrumentation is needed to map the active faults in the regions. So there will be earthquakes in the future, and threatens all these touristic areas. As far as all these touristic places like Ephesus, for instance.
Okay.
It's a World Heritage and archaeological site. I'm
Right,
sure
right.
it has received
Yes.
many damages. It
Okay.
should be checked again after this earthquake.
Yeah, certainly earthquakes are a risk that we face here in Turkey. Tuncay, Taymaz, thank you.